Zixtal hovered near the viewport, 3 of his optical appendages focused on the human vessel while the 4th monitored the team's preparations. The UNS Intrepid hung motionless against the star field, its angular form a stark contrast to the organic curves of their own research vessel, the Luminous Inquiry. "Final atmospheric analysis complete," announced Science Officer Venlera, her voice resonating through the neural communication network. "The ship maintains oxygen-nitrogen composition at levels that would be toxic to Merovian species, but within tolerance parameters for our environmental suits." Zixtal acknowledged with a subtle pulse of bioluminescence along his central ridge. The Arvani had evolved in methane seas, their bodies adapting over millions of years to communicate through light patterns as effectively as other species use sound. "Prepare the boarding shuttle. I want minimum interference with the vessel's systems until we understand their operational parameters." The boarding team assembled in the launch bay, 12 specialists representing 6 Confederation species, each selected for their expertise in xenotechnology assessment. Trill, the team's security specialist, checked the non-invasive defense fields one final time. The insectoid Corythes mandibles clicked nervously. "Is there a concern, Specialist Trill?" Zixtal inquired, noting the irregular pattern of her movements. "Our historical database contains no record of this species or their technological signatures," Trill responded, compound eyes shifting through multiple spectrum analyses of the human ship. "The unknown carries inherent risk." "Which is precisely why the Confederation dispatched our team," Zixtal replied, his skin rippling with reassuring patterns. "Knowledge eliminates uncertainty. We are scientists first." The shuttle detached from the Luminous Inquiry with barely a vibration, its gravitic propulsion system guiding them silently toward the Intrepid's hull. As they approached, the true scale of the human vessel became apparent. While modest by Confederation standards, barely a quarter the size of their research ship, its design reflected fundamentally different engineering principles. External heat radiators extended like metallic fins. Reaction thrusters clustered at strategic points. Most notable were the weapon emplacements, not concealed behind elegant housing as on Confederation vessels, but prominently displayed, their purpose unmistakable. "Primitive but functional," observed engineering specialist Kelp, their gelatinous form shifting inside the reinforced containment suit necessary for non-aquatic environments. "The thermal signature suggests fusion power generation, barely 7th-stage technology." Zixtal noted the assessment but reserved judgment. The Confederation had encountered civilizations whose technological appearance belied deeper capabilities. "Let us not form conclusions before evidence warrants them." The shuttle aligned with what sensors identified as an emergency airlock. Connection protocols initiated, mechanical systems engaging with surprising compatibility. The airlock cycled, atmosphere equalizing between environments. "Connection secure," announced the shuttle's operating system. "External atmosphere stable but dormant. Internal gravity at 0.97 standard units." Zixtal led the team through the airlock, the soft illumination from their suits casting long shadows down the empty corridor beyond. Emergency lighting provided minimal visibility, pulsing at regular intervals. Power conservation protocols active despite the ship's apparent abandonment. The air carried unfamiliar molecular signatures, synthetic polymers, organic residues unlike any in their database, and trace elements suggesting manufacturing processes different from Confederation standards. Each specialist activated specialized sensors, beginning the cataloging process that would continue throughout their investigation. "Life support functions at minimal capacity," reported Venlera, analyzing atmospheric readouts. "Temperature maintained at 282 standard units, inefficiently cool for most carbon-based metabolisms." Trill's security scans penetrated deeper into the vessel. No active biosignatures detected. However, the ship's systems remain partially operational. Power generation at approximately 23% capacity. Zixtal absorbed the preliminary data, his scientific curiosity fully engaged. "We proceed according to protocol. Level 3 containment procedures remain in effect, until we verify the absence of biological or technological hazards. Our objective is complete analysis and documentation of this vessel, its capabilities, and any insights into the species that constructed it. The team dispersed through the main corridor, each following their specialized research protocols. None of them yet realized they were making first contact with a species that would fundamentally challenge the Confederation's understanding of technological evolution and their place in the galactic hierarchy. Technologist Vreen's appendages moved with practiced precision across the engine room's manual interface panels. 3 hours into their investigation, the research team had established a preliminary understanding of the human vessel's basic functions, though numerous puzzles remained. "Chief Scientist, I believe you should examine this," Vreen called through the communication link. 4 of his sensory stalks bent over an open access panel. The exposed circuitry beneath seemed almost crude, physical wiring connections rather than the photonic neural pathways standard in Confederation vessels. Zixtal glided into the engine room, his environmental suit humming softly as it processed the ambient atmosphere. "Have you determined the propulsion principles?" "That is precisely the anomaly," Vreen responded, manipulating a holographic projection of the engine's internal structure. The visible components suggest conventional fusion drive technology, with chemical thruster assistance. However, the power routing indicates capabilities far beyond what these components should provide. Zixtal extended a sensory appendage toward the projection, noting the unusual energy flow patterns, efficiency masquerading as simplicity, or intentional misdirection. Neither explanation aligns with established technological evolution patterns, Vreen admitted, his bioluminescent patterns reflecting confusion. "No species we've encountered develops efficient systems that appear inefficient. It contradicts logical progress." Throughout the ship, similar contradictions emerge. In the medical bay, biologist Nell-2 cataloged treatment equipment that utilized radiation frequencies harmful to most known species. The surgical tools suggested procedures no Confederation Medical Ethics Board would approve. Direct physical intervention rather than molecular reconstruction. "These beings repair rather than regenerate," Nell-2 reported, holding up a primitive suturing device. "They embrace invasive techniques that our medicine abandoned 8 technological epochs ago." On the bridge, security specialist Corla had managed to access limited visual data from the ship's external recording systems. The view screen flickered to life, displaying what appeared to be a combat engagement. The Intrepid maneuvered through an asteroid field, weapons firing at unseen targets, while absorbing impacts that should have compromised its structural integrity. Their tactical systems prioritize offensive capabilities over crew safety, Corla observed, mandibles clicking in what her species considered thoughtful consideration. Yet the crew quarters contain personal effects, suggesting individual value, a contradiction in sociological development. Zixtal called for the team to converge in what appeared to be a central meeting area. The room contained a large table surrounded by fixed seating, another indication of the inefficient use of space that characterized human design. As the specialists shared their findings, a peculiar pattern emerged. "Consider the possibility," Zixtal proposed, his skin shifting to the deep azure of theoretical contemplation, "that these design choices are not limitations but adaptations. Not primitive technology, but technology developed along a fundamentally different evolutionary path." Van Lura's appendages rippled with skepticism. All spacefaring species follow predictable technological progression. The laws of physics and efficiency requirements dictate similar solutions. Yet this vessel operates on principles that appear to contradict our understanding of optimal design, Zixtal countered. Their computer systems resist our most sophisticated interface attempts while appearing physically primitive. Their life support maintains conditions we consider borderline toxic. Their structural reinforcement suggests regular exposure to stresses no rational species would routinely encounter. The implications hung in the recycled atmosphere between them. Thousands of cycles of Confederation exploration had established clear patterns in how intelligent species develop technology. This vessel followed none of them. We need to access their data archives, Zixtal decided. Specialist Melk, focus your cryptanalysis algorithms on their central computer core. If we understand their information storage, perhaps we will understand why they build ships that appear designed to withstand conditions no sane species would willingly face. As the team dispersed to continue their specialized analyses, none noticed the subtle activation of a hidden scanner beneath the meeting room table, its purpose not to monitor the ship's systems, but to analyze any non-human biological entities that might someday be seated around it. The third cycle of investigation brought revelations that transformed the research team's understanding of the human vessel. In the propulsion section, Vreen's detailed analysis confirmed what had seemed impossible during initial scans. The chemical accelerant system achieves 93% efficiency, Vreen reported, their voice modulator vibrating with barely contained excitement. Confederation theoretical models placed the maximum possible efficiency for such systems at 87%. Zixtal hovered beside the main propulsion assembly, all four optical appendages focused on the seemingly crude machinery. Could our models be flawed? I recalibrated all instruments 3 times, Vreen insisted. The humans have somehow optimized chemical propulsion beyond what our physics equations predict is possible. Furthermore, the radiation shielding is designed to withstand stellar flare conditions that would destroy any Confederation vessel. Similar anomalies emerged throughout the ship. In the weapons bay, Korla discovered targeting systems with capabilities that defied conventional understanding. These tracking arrays continue functioning under conditions that would render our most advanced systems inoperable. She demonstrated, initiating a simulation using the ship's own diagnostic protocols. The holographic display showed targeting solutions calculated through gas clouds, electromagnetic interference, and gravitational distortions simultaneously. They compensate for variables we consider insurmountable. Even more concerning, the weapons themselves appear designed for conditions no rational species would willingly enter. Zixtal absorbed this information, his chromatophores shifting to deep indigo, the Arvani expression of profound scientific curiosity. What conditions specifically? Extreme proximity to neutron stars, the event horizons of black holes, the coronas of unstable suns. Korla listed, her compound eyes reflecting the simulation data. Places no Confederation captain would approach willingly, yet these weapons are specifically calibrated to function in such environments. In the medical bay, Naltu's findings proved equally disturbing. The recovery pods contain technology designed to stimulate cellular regeneration through controlled trauma, a concept fundamentally opposed to Confederation medical philosophy. Their healing technology operates on principles we abandoned millennia ago, Naltu explained, gesturing toward the medical diagnostic displays now partially activated. They appear to have developed methods to accelerate natural healing rather than replacing damaged tissue. More concerning, their pharmacology suggests tolerance for substances that would be lethal to most carbon-based life forms. Throughout the afternoon cycle, the specialists shared their findings through the neural communication network. The composite picture that emerged challenged everything the Confederation understood about technological development. This vessel didn't represent an earlier stage of spacefaring evolution. It represented an entirely different evolutionary path. Their technology prioritizes functionality under extreme conditions over efficiency under optimal conditions, Zixtal summarized as the team reconvened. They build ships designed to survive scenarios that should never occur in rational space exploration. Venlera's appendages rippled with troubled bioluminescence. Such design principles suggest a species accustomed to crisis, to unexpected failure, to hostile environments, or to conflict, Trill added, her segmented limbs shifting uneasily. These adaptations would provide significant advantages in combat scenarios. The implications hung in the recycled air between them. The Confederation had enjoyed millennia of peaceful exploration. Their technological development focused on efficiency, comfort, and scientific advancement. This human vessel suggested a species that developed spacefaring technology, while never leaving behind the survival instincts of their evolutionary past. We must accelerate our efforts to decrypt their information archives, Zixtal decided. If we understand why they build ships this way, perhaps we can understand the evolutionary pressures that shaped their species. As if responding to his words, the lights in the corridor outside suddenly brightened, power surging through systems that had appeared dormant. Throughout the ship, dormant displays flickered to life, though still locked behind encryption barriers the aliens couldn't penetrate. The power management system has initiated a higher function state, Vreen observed, analyzing the readings from their portable scanner. It appears to be responding to our activities, or possibly to the duration of our presence. Zixtal considered this development. Continue your analysis with heightened caution. This vessel may not be as abandoned as we initially believed. The crew quarters revealed the most profound insights into the beings who had constructed the Intrepid. As the research team catalogued personal effects, living arrangements, and biological accommodations, a picture emerged of a species unlike any in Confederation records. Naltu hovered before an open storage compartment, analyzing what appeared to be preserved food substances. Their nutritional requirements defy conventional metabolic patterns, she reported, her sensory tentacles waving over sealed packages. These substances contain chemical compounds that would trigger severe neurological responses in most carbon-based life forms. Yet according to the preparation instructions, they intentionally consumed them. Zixtal examined the item Naltu indicated, a small red container labeled Extra Spicy Ramen. Warning: intense heat. The concept of consuming something with a warning label confounded him. Perhaps it's a test of endurance, suggested Trill, who had been examining what appeared to be recreational equipment in another section. These humans appear to deliberately seek discomfort in numerous contexts. She projected images of devices found throughout the crew quarters, exercise equipment designed to create resistance and physical strain, entertainment modules featuring simulated danger scenarios, footwear designed for running across varied terrain. They strengthen themselves through voluntary struggle, Zixtal observed, his chromatophores pulsing with the blue-green pattern of intrigued concern. A species that views comfort as weakness, perhaps. In the sleeping chambers, the environmental settings provided another revelation. Temperature logs indicated humans maintained their living spaces at varying temperatures based on personal preference, some at levels that would cause hypothermic reactions in Confederation species, others at ranges that would trigger heat stress protocols. Their environmental adaptability exceeds anything in our biological database, Van Lara noted, reviewing the data. They appear capable of functioning across temperature variations that would require specialized equipment for any Confederation explorer. The personal items throughout the quarters told a story beyond biological resilience. Physical books lined shelves, information storage methods abandoned by the Confederation 15 generations ago. Images displayed family groupings spanning multiple age ranges, suggesting strong intergenerational bonds. Objects of no apparent functional value occupied prominent positions. Decorative items, mementos, tokens from places visited. They attach significance to physical objects beyond utility. Zixtal noted, carefully examining a small crystalline structure labeled Grand Canyon, Earth, on a desk in what appeared to be an officer's quarters. A cultural emphasis on tangible connections to experience. Most revealing were the recreational logs accessible through partially functional personal terminals. Humans spent their leisure time in activities that the Confederation would classify as stress-inducing or outright dangerous. Immersive simulations of historical conflicts, physical competitions with risk of injury, literary narratives focusing on survival against overwhelming odds. They don't merely prepare for crisis through their technology, Van Lara concluded as the team compiled their observations. They cultivate crisis response as a cultural value. They appear to deliberately seek challenges that most species would avoid. In the corner of what the ship's layout identified as the captain's quarters, Zixtal discovered a display case containing medals and commendations. The translation algorithms couldn't decipher the specific language, but the ceremonial nature of the objects was unmistakable. They celebrate those who perform well under adverse conditions, Zixtal observed, his appendages gently tracing the air above the metals. They institutionalize and reward crisis management. The implications disturbed the entire research team. The Confederation had evolved beyond physical conflict millennia ago, its member species developing technology to eliminate discomfort and maximize efficiency. Solutions too. As if to punctuate his observation, the ship's lighting shifted again, environmental systems humming to life around them as temperature and atmospheric composition began adjusting throughout the vessel. The partial decryption of the ship's logs transformed conjecture into certainty. After 4 intensive cycles of cryptanalysis, Specialist Melk managed to bypass enough security protocols to access historical archives and operational parameters. What they discovered fundamentally altered the research team's understanding of humanity and their place in the cosmos. The UNS Intrepid is classified as an exploration vessel with defensive capabilities. Melk reported, their gelatinous form pulsating with excitement as data streams projected before the assembled team. According to their own classification system, this represents approximately the median of their military potential, not a dedicated warship at all. Zixtal processed this information with all 4 optical appendages focused on the data display. If this vessel represents their standard exploration capacity, what would constitute an actual combat vessel? The logs provided partial answers, references to ship classes with designations like destroyer, cruiser, and carrier suggesting a complex military hierarchy beyond anything the Confederation maintained in its peaceful expansion through the stars. More revealing was the historical context embedded in the ship's educational database. Earth, the human homeworld, had never achieved planetary unification before venturing into space. Unlike every Confederation species, which had resolved internal conflicts before developing interstellar travel, humans had carried their divisions, competitions, and conflicts with them into the stars. Their technological development occurred under perpetual threat conditions, Van Lera observed, reviewing the historical timeline. Not merely external environmental pressures, but threats from competing human factions. The logs detailed how humanity had weathered multiple near-extinction events, self-inflicted nuclear conflicts, environmental collapse, pandemics, asteroid impacts, emerging each time with new adaptations and technologies. Rather than breaking under such pressures, they had developed cultural and technological responses that incorporated crisis as an expected condition of existence. They designed their technology with the assumption that something will go wrong. Vreen noted, their analysis of the engineering logs displaying multiple redundancy systems. Every critical system has at least 3 backup mechanisms. Some have 5. The navigational records revealed perhaps the most concerning aspect of human expansion. The Intrepid had been mapping uncharted regions along what humans called the Outer Rim, deliberately seeking contact with other intelligent species. First contact protocols occupied an entire section of the command database, with detailed procedures for peaceful interaction and defensive measures if needed. They anticipated meeting other species, Zixtal stated, his chromatophores shifting to deep indigo. They prepared for it extensively, developing protocols before they possessed the technology to make such encounters likely. Trill's mandibles clicked in concern. They prepared for both peaceful and hostile scenarios. Their default assumption includes the possibility of interspecies conflict. Most troubling were the population figures and expansion rates. Human colonies existed in numbers far beyond what the Confederation had detected, their presence concealed through technology that masked their signatures from standard detection methods. Growth projections indicated an exponential increase in human-controlled territory over the coming decades. How have we never encountered them before now? Van Lera asked, her bioluminescent patterns displaying confusion. Melk highlighted a section of the tactical database. Their vessels are equipped with signature masking technology. They can appear as natural phenomena or remain entirely undetectable to standard Confederation sensors. This ship's detection was likely only possible because of its damaged state. The implications silenced the research team. The Confederation had expanded through the galaxy under the assumption that they would detect any spacefaring civilization through their technological signatures. The humans had developed methods to remain hidden until they chose to be found. A species that emerged from continuous conflict would naturally develop concealment capabilities, Zixtal reasoned. They expect to be hunted because their evolutionary history taught them to hunt and be hunted. The final revelation came from the ship's mission logs. The Intrepid had not been damaged by random jump drive malfunction as initially assumed. It had deliberately entered an unstable wormhole to escape pursuing vessels of unknown origin. The final log entry, partially corrupted, mentioned non-standard biosignatures and unknown technology before emergency protocols initiated and the crew evacuated to a location designated only as Waypoint Epsilon. They were studying something, Zixtal concluded, reviewing the fragmented data. Something they encountered in the uncharted regions, something that pursued them. As if responding to their discovery, the ship's main computer core initiated a higher-level activation sequence. Throughout the vessel, dormant systems hummed to life, internal diagnostics running automatically as the Intrepid awakened from its suspended state. Green's complete engineering analysis revealed technological principles that challenged the Confederation's fundamental understanding of spacefaring development. As the research team convened in the engine room, the alien technologist projected a holographic model of the human vessel's internal systems. Their approach defies established engineering evolution, Vreen explained, manipulating the display to highlight power distribution networks. All Confederation species develop technology through optimization, creating perfect solutions for standard conditions. Humans develop through adaptation, creating functional solutions for all possible conditions, no matter how unlikely. The hologram shifted to display the ship's propulsion system in greater detail. What had appeared as inefficient design now revealed itself as extraordinary versatility. Primary systems operated at optimal efficiency under normal conditions, but could instantly reconfigure when environmental parameters changed. Observe the reaction drive. Vreen continued, highlighting a section that appeared unnecessarily complex. Under standard operation, it functions with 93% efficiency. If damaged, it automatically reconfigures to operate at reduced capacity rather than failing completely. If power is limited, it can function using only 30% of its designed energy input. If suitable replacement parts are unavailable, it accepts alternative components with minimal performance loss. Zixtal studied the design with growing understanding. They build systems that continue functioning under conditions we would consider catastrophic failure scenarios. Precisely, Vreen confirmed, their sensory appendages vibrating with scientific excitement. Even more remarkable is their approach to technological integration. Rather than developing unified systems as all Confederation species do, humans maintain deliberate separation between critical components. The hologram expanded to show the ship's compartmentalized design. Critical systems operated independently, with manual override capabilities, even if central computer control failed. Life support, navigation, propulsion, and defense could each function autonomously if needed. They design with failure as an expected condition, Naltu observed. Their technology reflects biological redundancy, multiple organs, distributed nervous systems, decentralized control. The weapons analysis proved most concerning. Corliss' detailed examination revealed systems operating at deliberately reduced capacity. These emitter arrays are hardware limited to 40% output, she demonstrated, highlighting flow regulators integrated throughout the weapon systems. The theoretical maximum exceeds our most advanced military technology by approximately 27%. Yet they deliberately constrain this capability. Safety protocols, suggested Venlera. Something more fundamental, Corla replied. The design philosophy suggests they recognize their capacity for destruction and deliberately limit it through physical constraints rather than relying solely on operational protocols. The power generation system demonstrated similar principles. The reactor core contained safety mechanisms that would automatically engage under conditions that would cause Confederation designs to catastrophically fail. They assume component failure, Vreen explained. Their technology incorporates the certainty of malfunction rather than striving for theoretical perfection. Most remarkable was the ship's ability to adapt to changing conditions. Environmental systems could recalibrate for multiple atmospheric compositions. Structural reinforcement could redirect to areas experiencing stress. Power could reroute through alternative pathways when primary channels failed. Consider the implications, Zixtel said, his chromatophores pulsing with deep contemplation patterns. A civilization that develops technology assuming crisis as the norm rather than the exception. That prepares for failure scenarios we consider too unlikely to engineer for. That builds ships capable of surviving conditions no rational species would willingly enter. The research team absorbed this perspective in silence. The Confederation's expansion through the stars had occurred under relatively peaceful conditions, with member species cooperating to overcome challenges. These humans had developed spacefaring technology, while apparently facing continuous existential threats. Their engineering reveals a species simultaneously cautious and bold beyond comprehension, Zixtel continued. They expect disaster yet venture forward anyway. They anticipate failure yet explore regardless. They prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. As they contemplated these insights, a subtle vibration passed through the ship's structure. Throughout the vessel, systems that had been dormant or operating at minimal capacity began cycling through activation sequences. Emergency lighting shifted to standard illumination. Environmental controls adjusted atmosphere composition toward parameters the team had identified as human optimal. The ship is awakening, Vreen observed, monitoring the power fluctuations through their portable scanner. Systems are initializing in sequence rather than simultaneously, a deliberate diagnostic protocol rather than automatic restoration. Zixtel considered the implications. Someone, or something, is remotely activating this vessel. Return to the bridge. We need to monitor communications channels and sensor arrays. The sealed chamber near the ship's core required 3 cycles of careful analysis before the research team managed to bypass its security protocols. Unlike other sections of the vessel, this compartment maintained active power even during the ship's dormant state, protected by encryption algorithms that adapted to each attempted intrusion. When the doors finally parted, the aliens found themselves facing technology fundamentally different from anything encountered previously on the Intrepid. A crystalline structure occupied the center of the chamber, pulsing with subtle blue luminescence that synchronized with the ship's power fluctuations. Surrounding it were processing units connected through networks of what appeared to be both conventional circuitry and something resembling organic neural pathways. This is their central artificial intelligence core, Nelk observed, their gelatinous form rippling with excitement as they analyzed the energy signatures. But unlike any AI architecture in Confederation records, Zixtel approached cautiously, all sensory appendages extended to gather maximum data. Confederation artificial intelligence follows purely logical optimization principles. This appears to incorporate something else entirely. As they established analysis stations around the chamber, the crystalline structure's pulsations changed rhythm, shifting from regular intervals to patterns that suggested deliberate communication attempts. Displays around the room activated, cycling through sequences of mathematical equations, atomic structures, and universal constants. It's attempting first contact protocols, Van Lara realized, recognizing the mathematical sequences. The AI is conscious of our presence and trying to establish communication baselines. Zixtel directed the team to respond with similar mathematical sequences, projected through their portable interfaces. The AI core processed these responses, its crystalline structure pulsing more rapidly as communication complexity increased exponentially. Within hours, rudimentary dialogue became possible through symbolic representation. The AI identified itself as AVS, Advanced Vessel Intelligence System. Unlike Confederation artificial constructs, which functioned as sophisticated tools. AVS displayed characteristics that suggested self-awareness beyond its programmed parameters. Fascinating, Melk observed as they analyzed the communication patterns. Their AI incorporates emotional processing alongside logical functions. It's not merely calculating optimal responses, it's interpreting context and adapting beyond original programming. When Zixtal inquired about the ship's purpose, AVS responded with a concept the translation algorithms rendered as exploration with protection capacity. Further inquiries revealed the AI's primary directive wasn't combat management or tactical optimization, but crew welfare and ethical oversight. It functions as both practical assistant and moral guardian, Van Lara noted, reviewing the communication data. It can override command decisions that violate ethical parameters, even while facilitating potentially destructive capabilities. Most revealing was AVS's explanation for human technological philosophy. When Zixtal asked why humans designed ships capable of surviving scenarios no rational species would willingly encounter, the AI responded with a statement that resonated through the research team's subsequent discussions. Humans design for peace but prepare for conflict because their history taught them the cost of being unprepared. They accept the universe's inherent unpredictability rather than assuming safety as the default state. The AI's memory banks contain detailed records of human philosophical and ethical development alongside technological advancements. Unlike Confederation species, which developed ethical frameworks after achieving technological stability, humans had grappled with moral questions throughout their advancement, their ethical systems evolving in tandem with their destructive capabilities. They recognized their capacity for harm early in their development, Zixtal observed, reviewing historical archives the AI provided. Rather than assuming ethical behavior would naturally emerge from technological advancement, they deliberately cultivated ethical frameworks alongside technological power. As the team deepened their communication with AVS, the AI revealed information about humanity's current status that significantly altered their understanding of the situation. The Intrepid hadn't been abandoned after system failure. Its crew had evacuated following encounter with an unknown entity in uncharted space. The ship had been placed in dormant status while transmitting data back to human territory. Your presence aboard has triggered automated protocols. AVS informed them through the symbolic interface. The distress beacon activated upon confirming non-human biological entities. Human vessels are currently en route to this location. The revelation sent ripples of concern through the research team. Their mission had been scientific investigation of an abandoned vessel, not first contact with an unknown species potentially hostile to unexplained presence aboard their ship. "We must contact Confederation Command immediately," Trill insisted, her mandibles clicking with anxiety patterns. "This situation exceeds our authorization parameters." Before they could reach consensus, the ship's sensors activated at full capacity. External scanning arrays that had remained dormant throughout their investigation suddenly powered up, sweeping the surrounding space with detection frequencies beyond Confederation technology. Multiple vessels detected approaching through FTL space, AVS reported, the chamber's displays shifting to show tactical projections. Estimated arrival in 12 standard time units. Zixtal recognized the significance of what was unfolding. We are about to experience actual first contact with humanity, not merely their technology, but the species itself. Confederation Command's transmission carried the highest priority encryption, breaking through the research team's communication protocols with unprecedented urgency. The holographic projection of Third Administrator Locks materialized before Zixtal, the senior official's bioluminescent patterns displaying alarm states never before witnessed by the research team. Multiple vessels of unknown configuration have entered Confederation space through previously unmapped transit points. The administrator reported, visual data streaming alongside the communication. They broadcast peaceful intentions, but demand information regarding a missing ship matching the profile of your research target. The tactical display showed the approaching fleet, 7 vessels of varying sizes arranged in a formation that simultaneously optimized defensive coverage while presenting minimal aggressive posture. Their design echoed the Intrepid's angular efficiency, but on larger scales, with the central vessel nearly 3 times the size of the Confederation's largest exploration ship. They've tracked their vessel's location with remarkable precision, Zixtal observed, comparing the trajectory data with the Intrepid's known position. Their navigation and detection capabilities must significantly exceed what this ship's technology suggests. The administrator's chromatophores pulsed with the ultraviolet patterns indicating highest diplomatic concern. You are hereby authorized to establish preliminary communication protocols. Your scientific mission is now redesignated as First Contact Scenario 7 Alpha. Proceed with all appropriate caution. As the transmission ended, AVAS announced through the ship's newly activated communication systems, human recovery fleet approaching. Defensive systems remain inactive. Communications channels opening. The bridge displays activated simultaneously, showing the approaching vessels in real time as they decelerated from faster-than-light travel with a precision that impressed even Vreen. The formation maintained perfect spacing despite the complex gravitational conditions, each ship adjusting independently while preserving the overall defensive structure. Their coordination suggests both advanced automated systems and exceptional training. Corla noted, her security assessment protocols automatically analyzing the tactical display. They maintain perfect defensive positioning while demonstrating deliberate non-aggression. The communication system chimed with an incoming transmission. After receiving authorization from Zixtal, AVAS displayed the message on the main view screen. A human figure appeared, bipedal, clothed in a uniform bearing insignia the team couldn't interpret, with facial features that suggested both authority and cautious curiosity. This is Fleet Captain Helena Chen of the United Earth Defense Force, the humans stated in their language, which AVAS translated through the ship's systems. We are approaching to recover our research vessel Intrepid and any surviving crew. We recognize non-human life forms aboard. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. The directness of the communication startled the research team. Confederation protocols favored lengthy diplomatic exchanges before addressing specific concerns. These humans immediately established boundaries and expectations while remaining courteous. Zixtal moved to the communication interface, allowing his full form to be visible in the transmission. I am Chief Scientist Zixtal of the Galactic Confederation. We discovered your vessel apparently abandoned and initiated scientific investigation according to standard Confederation protocols. We intended no intrusion and seek only peaceful knowledge exchange. The human captain's expression remained neutral, though subtle muscle movements suggested careful assessment. The Intrepid was engaged in sensitive research when contact was lost. Your presence aboard is unexpected but potentially fortuitous. We've been aware of your Confederation for some time, though we had not planned first contact under these circumstances. The revelation sent ripples of shock through the research team. The humans had known about their civilization already, had observed them without being detected. You were aware of our existence? Zixtal asked, his chromatophores unable to conceal his surprise. Captain Chen's expression shifted slightly. What the team would later learn was a small smile. We've maintained observation outposts near several Confederation worlds for approximately 26 standard years. Our policy has been non-interference until we better understood your intentions and capabilities. Recent events in the Outer Rim accelerated our timeline. As diplomatic exchanges continued, the research team transmitted their complete analysis to Confederation Command. Zixtal's final report contained conclusions that would fundamentally alter the Confederation's understanding of their place in the cosmos. The species we have encountered defies conventional development patterns. They appear technologically inferior by choice rather than limitation. They construct vessels that function effectively in conditions logic dictates they should never encounter. Their technology reflects a species that never assumes safety, never takes survival for granted, and prepares for worst-case scenarios while hoping for optimal outcomes. Most significantly, they have observed our civilization for decades while remaining undetected. What we mistook for primitive technology represents deliberate concealment, not deception for aggressive purpose, but caution born from evolutionary experience. As we establish formal diplomatic protocols with humanity, we must recognize we are not dealing with a newly emerging spacefaring species, but a highly advanced civilization that developed along fundamentally different principles than our own. Their exploration vessels outmatch our defensive capabilities. Their apparent technological limitations mask extraordinary adaptability. The humans' first message to the Confederation came not from their diplomats, but from their technology. And that message is clear. They prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. In doing so, they have achieved capabilities beyond what our own philosophies of technological perfection ever considered possible.